Let's talk about one of my all-time favorite bands, and one we definitely have not talked about enough on this show. Honestly, I don't even know if we've actually discussed them at all, to be honest. Deftones. More specifically, I want to talk about the crazy story of how the legendary Madonna is actually responsible for them getting a record deal through her label, Maverick Records, which was a subsidiary of Warner. And at the time that Deftones got signed to Maverick, I believe they were only like the third signing following Alanis Morissette and Candlebox. Let's get into it. Deftones was actually, in part, formed when guitarist Steph Carpenter was hit by a car at 15 years old, which led to him picking up the guitar. Recalling in a 1997 interview with Guitar World, Steph said, "The guy was doing like 60 miles an hour when he slammed into me, and I wrecked his car. I never saw, heard, or felt it, and I've never had any pain from it, but physically, I should have died. It's weird. I woke up in the street and I felt totally normal other than the fact that my leg was snapped in half. It was a definite changing point in my life in the way I looked at things, but when it happened, I was so ungrateful for being alive that I was pissed off that I couldn't skate because I had just learned to do this fresh-ass trick. The first thing I said when I realized I got hit by a car was, 'Damn, how long before I start skating again?' And they said it might be some time. After a couple weeks went by, I realized I could have been dead, and from that point on, I didn't care about skateboarding anymore. I still love skateboarding now, but it's not the way I want to spend all my time. Now, I just want to have a good time and live. I haven't turned into a fraidy cat or anything. I just want to do the most that I can with the time I'm here and have as good a time as possible." The interview goes on to mention that he actually strummed his first ever chord while watching the Rat Round and Round video and the iconic scene of Rat guitarist Warren DeMartini crashing through the ceiling onto the dining room table. Steph continues in the interview, "It only took me a couple of weeks to get to where I could fake it and sound like I kind of knew what I was doing. I learned by playing along with Anthrax, SOD, and Metallica, and I didn't learn anything besides a power chord until I had been playing for about 4 years." Eventually, Steph would form Deftones in 1988, along with vocalist Chino Moreno, drummer Abe Cunningham, and bassist Chi Chang, rest in peace, who joined the band in 1990. By 1995, Deftones were playing frequently around their native Northern California and eventually got their first gig in LA, closing for a band who was doing a label showcase, although at that time, Deftones were not actually actively label hunting. That being said, though, according to Chino in a 2014 interview on Rover's Morning Glory, somebody was there that knew somebody who knew Madonna. And basically, she got our demo tape. We had a 2-song demo tape, and I was at work the next day. I used to work at Tower Records, and I got a call from Maverick Records, which was Madonna's record label at the time. They called us at work and said, "Hey, Madonna wants to see you guys play." So Maverick ends up flying the band back down to LA. They rent out a little rehearsal space and get some gear for the band, and they show up to play essentially a label showcase in this tiny room with only a 2-person audience, both obviously from the label, including Guy Oseary, who is actually Madonna's current manager, and Freddie DeMann, who ran the label at the time alongside Madonna. After the band plays 2 songs, Freddie DeMann stands up and, according to Chino, just says, "Okay, I've heard enough. Where do I sign?" Following that performance, the band goes straight into the label offices to sign their deal, and in walks Madonna. The band, of course, ends up finalizing the deal with Maverick, ultimately releasing 6 albums through them, 7, I guess, if you count the B-sides and Rarities released in 2005, including Adrenaline in 95, Around the Fur in 97, White Pony in 2000, the 2003 self-titled, and finally Saturday Night Wrist in 06. The relationship with Madonna doesn't quite end there, though. In an interview promoting 2020's fantastic Ohms album, Chino revealed that he actually has a naked poster of Madonna hanging up in his house that was gifted to him by her. Imagine how much that thing must be worth. He says, quote, "I have it in my house, a poster that she gave me, a naked poster of herself. I don't know if it was ever for sale. It's not like loot or anything. It's sort of a portrait kind of thing that she signed for me, and I cherish that thing. I was a little kid that loved Madonna, Michael Jackson, Prince. That's mega iconic shit. So don't think at any point that I was not tripped out when I would hang out with her. I would bug the fuck out. The band's first release, Adrenaline, went on to sell pretty well, achieving 60,000 sales right out of the gate. Not 100% if that's the first week figure or not, but it was pretty early on that it sold 60K. But by September 23rd, 2008, the album went platinum, selling 1 million copies, and 9 studio albums later, the band is still going strong. I still have only seen them once. It was at Rock on the Range a few years ago, and it was absolutely incredible. Most certainly needs to happen again. And one of Chino's other projects, Crosses, have a new record coming out this fall. And so far, the singles that have come out for it, I think are great. Definitely stoked to hear the whole thing when it comes out. Deftones also just announced the 2023 lineup of their festival, Dia de los Deftones, which will take place November 4th at Petco Park in San Diego. It features obviously Deftones along with 100 Gex, Knocked Loose, Doechii, Pinback, Pieri, Ryle, and Capra. Tickets are on sale Friday, August 18th, so tomorrow. All right, though, I gotta run. My fiance is getting bored and wants to take a ride on my engine number 9, so I gotta go. But thanks so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you next time.